aspirations in terms of football. Even before we put pen to paper, we are happy to report that President Blatter and team has agreed to give us another project in the form of an artificial turf, which we intend to locate in the provinces. It's the wish of my executive that we have promised to develop football across the country, and pitches are a sine qua non in terms of helping to develop football. So we have a project on developing an artificial turf in the provinces, a location that we will come back to you with. The second project that they've agreed to support is actually the facelifting or the refurbishment of the National Technical Training Center. Of course, we're still making, the executive is still being engaged, and we'll come back to the public when we make a decision, because we have that versus another project to choose from. But to refurbish the National Technical Training Center, or the Center of Excellence, for us is very critical. And they have agreed to look at how to support us in that endeavor. The FIFA has also agreed to support us with a program called Performance, and Performance is a program of assessment. In the run-up to our elections, you've heard me several times say we are going to conduct a comprehensive assessment of the status of football in the Gambia. Based on that, we will make informed decisions. We're going to educate ourselves, and we want to transform the Gambia Football Federation into a learning organization, a learning institution, where we will learn from our actions and ensure that whatever we do, we're not repeating what did not work well. So they've agreed to support us in that process, even though we have started and we've gone very far. But to put it into context, the performance will be coming sometime in 2014.
Welcome back, and you're reminded you're watching the Gambia Radio and Television Services, and this is still the news. A point of correction on the statement issued by the Secretary General and Minister for Presidential Affairs. The statement was in fact not an explanation of the reasons for the Gambia's pulling out of the Commonwealth as mentioned in our earlier introduction. It was instead a reaction to the asylum scam. And before we go, a reminder of our headlines. The African Academy of Languages has concluded a week-long regional conclave on the harmonization and standardization of the writing system of the Wolof language in pursuit of African integration and development. Italian rescue workers have plucked over 150 people from the sea, but hopes of finding more survivors in the Lampedusa boat disaster evaporate by the minute. And signs of compromise. A source close to the U.S. House Speaker John Boehner has said that he would not let the nation default on its debt as the president called for Obamacare concession to be dropped. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. But before we go, just to remind you that a special message from the Office of the President and delivered by the Secretary General and Minister for Presidential Affairs will air immediately after this newscast. And before we go, just to remind you, the title of the statement is the Gambia's government's position on the relentless smear campaign against the Gambia. So stay tuned. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Thanks for watching.
The Gambia government's position on the relentless smear campaign against the Gambia. The government of the Gambia has been following events with utter dismay since 1994. The smear campaign orchestrated by some Western powers using selfish and unpatriotic individuals, Gambians and non-Gambians. The enemies of the Gambia have been sponsoring Gambians and non-Gambians to set up organizations with media facilities outside of the Gambia to mount a shameless campaign of lying against the government and people of the Gambia. These people and institutions specialize in lying and providing false attestations for would-be asylum seekers, using the main opposition party, UDP, as a platform for such nefarious activities, thereby casting a very bad and negative image of both the government and noble people of the Gambia. Such campaign is mounted both at home and abroad, providing fake attestations for members of their party to migrate abroad to seek asylum, with total disregard to the damage they cause to the prestige and good image of the people.
Once again, you're watching the Gambia Radio and Television Services, and this is an announcement, a point of correction on the statement issued by the Secretary General and Minister for Presidential Affairs. The statement was in fact not an explanation of the reasons for the Gambia's pulling out of the Commonwealth, as mentioned in our earlier introduction during the news bulletin. It was instead a reaction to the asylum scam. Our apologies for the error. Meanwhile, the full statement will be broadcast.